Okay, so for the data challenge this year, the focus is whether a patient admitted to the intensive care unit, so the ICU, has been already diagnosed with a type of diabetes. However, why would we need a prediction model in the ICU, and why should we specifically look at diabetes? Decision making in the ICU is usually a high-stake, difficult, and emotive decision with limited patient information and higher uncertainty about the outcome. And also, it takes extreme pressure to make these decisions very quickly. There's a big number of challenges in these decision-making processes, such as limited time, pressure, complexity, uncertainty, massive amounts of data from all the equipment, but also just limited patient information. So why would we need this prediction model in the ICU? This could actually help the medical professionals to combine the temporal predictions with their already existing beliefs to facilitate the decision-making process. So how would we go about modeling a decision-making process such as this one? We could start with data collection, then we would do some data pre-processing to adjust our data, maybe for missing values and so on. Then we will create a model and train the model, get our prediction, look up the explanation, and do the interpretation. After this, we can integrate these interpretations with the prior beliefs of the medical experts and take the required action. So why would it be important to actually know if a patient has diabetes when they're getting into the ICU? So usually patients who already have been hospitalized with and diagnosed with diabetes have greater complications during their stay and also can have poor outcomes than patients without diabetes. However, usually this information can be found in medical records or the history of the patients, which is not usually available in the ICU. Therefore, it's kind of critical for doctors to identify diabetes so that a patient can be appropriately treated. So, and this year's Datathon, and usually in these Datathons, we are trying to solve a critical and real medical problem, and we can learn background knowledge, collaborate with our friends and colleagues with medical background, we can share knowledge, expertise, and resources, and finally build machine learning models and keep improving our methods. This is the link to join the competition on Kaggle. Chang, if you can put it in the chat, that would be great. This is an overview of how the competition looks like on Kaggle, but we're going to give you more information about this later. Some more facts about Kaggle. So Kaggle is actually a community-based platform, web-based data science environment. It has public kernels, data sets, and a lot of code snippets. And it's actually a subsidiary of Google since 2017. It also reached 1 million registered users in June 2017, and actually the founder and the CEO's first concept was to create a crowdsourcing platform that used predictive modeling competitions to solve problems for NASA and Ford. There's been famous competitions such as gesture recognition for Microsoft Kinect, HIV and AIDS research, and so on. And also for the researchers among us, there's been several academic papers published on the basis of findings made in Kaggle competitions. There's also another famous competition, the Netflix Prize, which was an open competition for the collaborative filtering algorithm, and that we are now using in Netflix to predict user ratings for films. And the grand prize was actually $1 million. So how to Kaggle, you can find all the competitions, the data sets provided by Kaggle, a majority of notebooks and multiple programming languages such as R and Python, and even usage tips for GPUs. So for some small tips on how to build your machine learning model. However, you're going to find out more about this when Chang will present a small notebook, and also in tomorrow's session from Yanni. But so yeah, some small tips. Please explore the features and select the features that could be potentially important for your model. However, keep in mind that the higher the number of features, the more likely it is to have overfitting. You could also try to simplify the features, such as instead of using the full age numbers, you could have maybe an age range, and you could play around to see how big this range could be or how small. You could also add new informative features, such as using the location column, for example, and add this one to the average life expectancy and create new information. However, keep in mind that you need to integrate more data to do these things. Also, it is recommended to try multiple machine learning models, so don't try to focus on just one model and improve it, and have at least a validation set to test your model's performance, or just do cross-validation. We also have some literature recommended for those of you who want to maybe read more about the topic of the challenge. And yes, if you have any questions, I can answer the questions now.
That's fine. And if you have any question, just feel free to raise your hand. And if the question is very short, like, oh, can you please slow down or something, you can just speak up, unmute yourself. That's also fine. Yeah, we want to have this event like more casual, more fun, not a conference type that you cannot interrupt the speaker. You can always just say, I have a question. Okay. So first, you need to create an account on Kaggle, and based on the Datathon rules, is that every participant need one account. So, for instance, if you work in a team, you have 4 people, you still need to have 4 accounts for each person. Okay, so you need to create an account on Kaggle. You can use your email, you use your Google, can create a Kaggle account. I think it's very easy. Yeah, okay. Then I will just, oh, and last night, yeah, very late night, I shared a tutorial about start with Kaggle in the NONS channel or knowledge sharing channel. Yeah, knowledge sharing channel. So if you miss some part of my pre-training session, you can also follow that video as well. And it's like 10 minutes, also very quick. So, okay, so I'm gonna go through this with Datathon 2021. So if you are on this page, you will see a description about this challenge, right? Like read the background, overview, and who can participate, many information. So first thing you need to read is the rules, because if you join the competition, by default, you agree on these rules. You know, all agreements and contracts are important, okay? Once you agree, even for a cookie, you said you agree, then you need to read them, okay? So some important I want to highlight is that, for instance, this one, no private sharing outside teams, that you can decide to publish your notebook. But if you're privately working with your notebook, then please do not share with others. Like you're really good friends working in 2 teams and you're sharing each other's notebook. So please do not do that. And remember that the submission, because you can submit the results and to see the score, right? Each account has a limitation by day, per day. So you can submit maximally 15 times per day. So keep in mind that do not get some results and submit it immediately. As Andrea mentioned, that you need to do a cross-validation first and then decide to submit that. So remember, there's a limitation for each day. And the other one is, I think there is a, yes, important, because my own research is about privacy preserving data analysis. So I also very, how to say, pay attention to how the data can be used. So the data set from this Datathon is made for this competition. So you cannot share the data for any commercial purpose or use that for personal use. So details you can read from this rules from here, like use restrictions. And then, so far, any question? No, I think not really, right? Okay. So you can find the data here if you click data, okay? Then you see there are 5 files, all CSV files here. Of course, you can download them to your local machine, but if you work on Kaggle, for instance, you program in Python, you program in R, then you can just work in the Kaggle platform. And the data, you can import data to a notebook from their server. So you don't need to download that. But if you want, of course, if you work in a train, you don't have internet connection, then you can download the data set. And please read what those data sets are. Like for instance, there is a training data set, which has 130,000 rows records in this training data set. And this unlabeled WIDS data 2021 data set, this one is the testing data set. So you train your model on this file and you test it, you predict on this file, and then you get a results file and you submit that results file. And they also provide you how the results should be submitted, how it should look like. Is this, no. Here, sample submission. So basically here is the encounter ID, and then here is the predicted value. So basically this submitted results file only has 2 columns, like user ID and then the predicted value. So this is about the data set. Any questions so far? I'm trying to go slow and make sure everyone can follow. No? Okay. So the nice thing on Kaggle is that it's a really community-based platform, which means that you can learn from each other, especially for beginners that you don't know how to start it. Like you can create your own notebook, or you can start looking at others. So those are, this is myself, sorry. So those are the people that they published their notebook. And for instance, you can click one of them. And then you will see how they solved the challenge. And you can rank them by the votes. Then it's easy to find the one, like the most popular one. And then normally they also give like comments that you can read them, okay? I won't go through this code, but just let you know, you are able to find other people's published notebook. And then also very, like I found it last night, a very, very good one is the discussion forum. So people post the resources or a tutorial, they found it and they post it here. And then I think, for instance, if you're a very beginner and want to go further, and you can have a look on these posts, like best machine learning books for beginners, and they provide some explanation, but just a good way to connect with the community and learn from that. And of course, as we mentioned, that Kaggle has a ranking board, ranking score. And here from the leaderboard, you can see the global ranking here. I think now it's over 300 teams ranking. Yeah. So once you submit your results, you will see yourself in this ranking as well. Last thing about this using Kaggle thing is how to merge the team. So far, we already have a team. So each account, when you have your Kaggle account, you join a competition, then by default, yourself is a team. And you want to team up with your team members, like the other 3 team members, you need to merge the teams. For instance, I create a team named Chang. Andrea create a team, means Andrea. And then I need to put her name here, team name, and then find her. Send request, merge. And then your team member accept that, and then you merge the team. And be careful that once you merge the team, you cannot remove this member. And then I tried very hard to understand why not, but Kaggle does not allow you remove the team member because, for instance, you work on one notebook together, you share knowledge, you improve that together, and then you want one day you want to kick this person out, then that causes problem, or someone steal your idea. So Kaggle does not allow you remove members or quit from a team. Except you leave the challenge, I guess. Yes, this is about the team merging. You might have problem like questions when you do that by yourself. But so far, any question? No? Okay, then I will go through a notebook we how can I move this? Okay. So if you go to the notebooks tab, can you also see me? Because from my side, I see myself. Then it's easy if you just click here. Can you see my notebook there? Yeah, okay. Okay, great. Great. We can do 2 ways. One way is that I go through the notebook, you see how code runs, or you follow me, do that with me. Which one do you prefer?
Wait, could you repeat, please?
I said that we have 2 ways to go through a notebook. One, you look at me, go through a notebook, or you do that with me. Okay, easy. So then if you click my notebook, then you have a button. I think it says copy and edit. If you want to run it by yourself as well at the same time with me, then you click add, copy and edit, if I remember correctly.
John, maybe a quick comment. People need to have a Kaggle account in order to follow and like to view this notebook, right? So maybe you should give them 2 minutes to create an account.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe like just 2 minutes that you can create your own account. I think it's easy if you, yeah, at least for me, it's quite easy if I link with my Google account, but it depends on you if you use email to a created one. If you're ready, if you're ready, just let me know. Like now, and I know you're ready. Oh yeah, Yawen, right? What someone is saying? Yeah. Oh.
Yes, I have the account. I can see your notebook.
Okay. Great. If you have any questions about how to create an account, also you're free to ask.
Hi, sorry, I can't find your notebook for some reason.
I think in the chat, Zinab also shared it in the chat, if you can see that.
Okay, sorry, thanks.
Yeah, I guess the ranking, like when we search, oh yeah, here, right. The ranking is based on your, how to say, browser history or something like that. Because I went there, I worked on my notebook before, so it show up in the top. Yeah, so if you can't find the notebook, please check the chat. You will see the notebook in the chat and click the link. And then there will be a button, I think, called copy and edit. Yeah, and then once you copy and edit it, the version, like it becomes your notebook, but it will show that it's copied from someone. Citation. Is everyone ready? You can run it. Okay. So yeah, if you're still creating account, I will just slowly go into the notebook. So I put some background knowledge, and they are already presented. But if you want to read it in details, you are free to do so. So I put the text in the notebook at the beginning as well, just let you understand why we need a prediction model for ICU. At least for me, I have worked with health data for several years. I think that's actually quite important thing as a while doing data science or statistics, whatever, that you know why you're doing that, why they need the model. You can read it and also cite the reference there. And also, I put what is diabetes. You predict whether this ICU patient has a type of diabetes. Then you need to know what is diabetes. Otherwise, you yourself don't know what you're doing, right? And I want to raise a point here, which is important, that in this data set, the predicted feature, the diabetes, yes or no, is a binary feature. The answer is yes or no. But if you have some medical background, you will know that diabetes has actually multiple types. So I couldn't find if this yes means all type of diabetes, or is a specific type 2 diabetes. But you can check for yourself if you can find this information. If you find it, please share in the channel, because I think that's quite important. And then the second one is that if this yes means all type of diabetes, then which means that from your analysis, you might see some data points behave very different from others, because type 1 and type 2 diabetes are different. They might show different symptoms. And also, like a pregnancy also causes diabetes. That's also different symptoms. So those kind of medicine background, you also need to know a little bit. Yeah, and I put the information here, so you're free to read them. So let's look at the code now. I'm gonna go to the edit mode, then I will see the same thing as you, I believe. Are you also here like me now? You're in a kind of like editing mood? Yeah? Cool. So firstly, I want to show you like the share and save version is that share is that you share it with your fellows, like with your team members or others. And then save the version means that once you publish your notebook, you save that version, and then that version will be visible for others. So for instance, if I don't save it, what I'm doing here, I change something, won't show in the public one. So every time when you want to publish the notebook, you need to save the version. And then as you see the right column, those are the input and output folders here. And those files are stored in Kaggle server. So the input, they already give you the data set here, as you can see. And you are also free to check the settings. For instance, I'm programmed in Python. Maybe you program in R. So you can choose Python or R. The one thing I want to mention is that if you program in Java, C++, or any other languages, you are free, of course, you're free to do data science in any languages. But for this competition, what you need to do is that you use Java, build a model, do a prediction, and then the prediction file as a result, you only need to submit this results file. So actually, language is not a limitation. You can do whatever you want in any languages, but you need to submit this results files. If your brain can work really well, you see that my brain is a deep learning model. You can also predict by yourself and then write it down each prediction in the results file and submit that. You're gonna win the Nobel Prize, your brain. You can also set the environment preference. Also the, important thing is that if you want to download something from others, like packages or whatever, you need activate this internet option, yes or no. Like this is yes and this is no, yeah. Okay, this is setting. And then if you are on the same page as me, I will run the cells one by one and explain to you, and then you can follow me. And if you have any questions you might have, then you can put it in chat or just unmute yourself. For instance, the first block is actually going through the input folder and to see what data files are available there. And those are the files you will need for the data challenge, right? And then, actually, if you create a new notebook, this block is there by default. They already type it for you. And then you need to import some libraries. And normally I do that. I add it when I need some libraries, like Python packages. For this too, they are like plotting packages, you will see. And then this is the widgets. I will show you later, like in 1 minute. And then this display setting, actually, if we don't, this is not needed, but just for myself, I want to see the whole data frame. I want to see the whole the content of the column. So I need to change the setting. And then first we need to import the data set. What I need is the training data set, as I mentioned, and then the prediction, like the test data set, and then the data dictionary. So as mentioned that there are 180 features. You need to know which feature means what. And I think most of us do not have medical background. So please read this data dictionary because the column name will be just abbreviation, very brief. So if you run, so okay, you can click this triangle to run it, or you can click Shift Enter on your keyboard to run the cell. And then if you follow the same notebook as me, like the notebook I'm using now, this is the function I provided for the beginners. I found very useful maybe for you, is that when I did the challenge, I realized that I need to go back to check which column means what. It's very inconvenient. Like always go through, either I need to download the dictionary or I need to go the other page. So I add this cell. If you want to know, for instance, what BMI is, you can just click BMI, and then you see this is the information from the data dictionary. And you all can use this, like this code is made for you. You can use this code and then improve that, okay? So it's not forbidden, you can use that, it's fine. And then you can choose more, or like multiple options. And then you will see, for instance, which category this variable belongs to, and data type, description, and example. So this function is for you that when you do analysis and you realize that, oh, I don't really know which this column means, then you can go to here and then just check, select the one you want to know and to see what they mean. Yeah. And if you have question about how this block can be changed or implemented, you can message me, because I won't go through the details, like explain to you how this function works. Otherwise, that will take whole day, right? But if you're in that stage that I want to know how it works, just message me. I will explain to you after this session. And then now we're gonna check how many rows and columns we have in the training and then testing data set. From the training set, we have 130,000 rows, records, and 180 columns. And then testing, we have 10,000, which means that it's 1/10 the ratio, right? And then after import all the training and testing data set, and then read, okay, which column means what. The next step, you want to know these variables, how they distributed, how they look like. So I provided some options for you to plot the variables. For instance, this pie chart that you can see the ethnicity from the data set. You can change the name of this cat variable to see other category variables. Or I also provide you the tool, the same as the dictionary one, that you can select the variables you want to see, how they distributed. Okay. A bit slow. The CPU. So when you run that, now I'm running this cell, and then you all see CPU is red, means that it's running. Moment. Where is this one? Yeah, okay. So you can choose different variables to see their distributions. But when you run it, is it fast or is like the same slow? Because I'm sharing my screen, so that might cause the problem. Are you trying the same thing by yourself?
It's a decent speed.
Okay, okay. Then I guess if you face the same problem as me, like when you run it, it goes really slow, you can restart the session from the scratch. So the kernel will restart again from the beginning. So everything you run will lose. You will lose everything. You have to start with from the beginning. But I hope that will solve the problem. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then I also provide a binary feature plotting. So it's very beautiful. I like it, so I put it there. But one thing you can use is that if you want to install new packages, which are not included in Kaggle, like for instance, if it says no model funded, blah, 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 then you need to install a new model by yourself. And then you can do this, like, oh my gosh, what's the English name of this? Surprise mark. And then pip install PyWaffle. This is the way, like, if you want to install other packages, then you just change the name of this part. And then here you can see the binary feature, how binary feature distributed. And some of them, like for instance, some of them you might see all green. It's because the ratio is really biased. Like one of them has like 99 or more than 95, and then you won't see the one label, but I cannot find it. You can try yourself to plot different features. And of course, I also provided the numerical plotting, distribution of age. And this will save a lot of time for you to know the features, because that's normally you need to do. You have to check their distributions. And the amazing part is that you just need to select them, and you will see how they distribute it. And no bugs from your side so far, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, great, great. Just unmute yourself if you have any questions. And after explore, well, I go through it really fast, actually. Like I only look at few features, but for yourself, you need to check what those features are, and then check their distribution, those kind of thing. It might take like half an hour or 1 hour, and then you have an overview about the data set, right? Like for instance, if the whole data sets are all male, if the data sets only has elder people, that's something you need to consider, right? And then after explore.
Could I ask something?
Yes.
I think the PyWaffle doesn't work for me. Is there something that I should install first?
Did you try this pip install?
Yeah, so first you get a couple of warnings and then it just says we are giving up. I put it in the chat now.
They give up.
You need to turn on the internet in the settings for the notebook. I forgot that as well at first.
Ah, cool. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. As I mentioned, that if you download, you need a new package, you download that package, you need an internet connection.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. If no other question, I will just continue. After explore the features, what you can do is to check the correlation matrix. For instance, you want to know whether there's a features, they actually present a very similar message. And just to show you, I only choose the first 30 features because otherwise it will get difficult to see each column, like each dot. For yourself, you can try more than 30 or to try the features you selected. Like for instance, I plotted the correlation matrix. Well, correlation matrix should be all numbers, but compare numbers is difficult for us to compare as 30 times 30 matrix, right? So I plotted in the plot, and then you can easily see which feature is correlated, highly correlated to which one. And then next you need to do is that to check what those features are. And when you train a model, you should think whether you fit model with those highly correlated features, because this will depend on which model you are using. But then, like for instance, linear regression model, you won't feed the linear regression model with high, like this, correlated features. You can also see the plot on your notebook, right? Yeah, and then for yourself, you should explore other features as well by yourself. I won't, how to say, I only give you example how to do that, but you need to explore by yourself. And next thing is that you need to find out if you have a complete data set, which means that you actually in real life, you never get a complete data set. No one gives you a complete data set, which is really sad. But you need to see how incompleteness of your data set is. So this block, when you run it, you will see a table for all the features in this data set. And from the beginning, you will see, sorry, the variables and how many missings of this variable or feature, and then what the percentage is. For instance, when you do analysis, at least for me, when I do analysis, if I see this a feature has 92% missing, then I won't use that feature. Because how can you do that? In a data set, you have only 8% values in this column. Either you immute the whole feature, which is just not really possible to use the only 8% to immute 92. So what I normally do is that I remove the features which have so many missings. Okay, but you can decide which is your threshold. Yes, so now you know the missings in your data set, and then you start thinking, well, I need to handle those missing values, because either you remove all of them, like remove.
And then you press that.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, so either you remove all the columns, where is it now? Here. Columns with missings, then you might remove 90% of your data set. So you need to decide, as I mentioned, that this threshold, and then to input the missing values, which means that you need to fill in the empty cells in your data set. And then, of course, handling missing values is a research domain that people still working really hard to solve this problem, because while either you fill with 0, like an actual number, or you use mean or median or those kind of things, but still that those are not real values for a data set. They might affect your model training. So today I won't go like detail about how to handle the missing values. Tomorrow, Yenny will present that part. But today what I did here is I select 0.05 as a threshold to remove features, which means that if the feature has missings more than 5%, then I don't use this feature. And then in the training, when I train the model, I remove all the rows, like records, which has a missing. I just want to make sure my training data set is complete. Yeah, this is one way. The other way is that you can fill in, as I mentioned, that with numbers. Like after this block, you can see original training session has 130 rows. After removing the missing rows, it still has 100,000 rows. I'm happy with this number. But if you get like only 4,000 left or very few records left in the data set, then you can't do this in this way because you lose too many records or too many data. And then next one is you can choose to fill in using, for instance, 0 or the actual number, let's say, or for instance, for the binary features is 0 or 1, but you want to indicate this is missing, then you use another number like 10 to indicate that cell is actually missing. But you can't just leave it as empty because the next processing will need a complete data set. And then the category or like numerical, you can decide, you can search by yourself, but here, what we did is just fill in like the median for the category and the mean for the numerical. So for instance, we have 100 patients. All of them are between 20 to 30. And then I have one record, has no age. And then I see, okay, then of course you think, just assume this person has average age. That's normally people do, and easy to understand, right? Let me see, is it running? Yeah. After filling in the missings, the training data set is complete, right? Yeah. So for the encoding, yes. Why we need encoding? Encoding means that you convert the categorical data to numerical data. Why we need that is because some features about us, they're not numerical, like gender. I'm female, the male, how you put them in a number, right? So normally people do is that man is 0 and male is 0 and female is 1. So this behavior is encoding. But the thing is that encoding itself is also a research domain because our world is so complicated. It's not only like female, male, yes or no. For instance, location, like I'm in Maastricht. If we encode Maastricht, Amsterdam, and Paris, then you can encode them into 1, 2, 3 as a number. But Maastricht and Amsterdam has closer relationship than Amsterdam to Paris, maybe, right? Because they're in the same country. Then you might think another way to encode them to indicate this relationship. Or you think, well, actually Amsterdam and Paris has a more close relationship because they're both capital cities. So this is important to realize that when you encode a category feature to numerical feature, you lose some information and you need a way to keep this information in your data set. And that's the amazing part for encoding. There's so many different ways to encode category data to numerical data. So for yourself, you can search. If you're at advanced level, you know how many of them, and then you select the one you think is suitable for those data sets. But if you don't know, I also put a reference here that we use one-hot encoder, very easy one. Just like if I have a category, they just indicate like 1, 2, 3, but not in 1, 2, 3. It's like 0, 1 is female and 1, 0 is male. Use all 0 and 1 to encode the category features. And if you go to this link, I can show you. You can find other encoding methods. You can try by themselves. So here, encoding category features, yes. So there are many different ways to do encoding. The one I use is one-hot encoder, and if you want to try others, go down. There's others. Oh, this is all about one-hot encoder. Here, like ordinal encoder, you can try use different ones. And the way how you try it, you just replace the name, import the name, and then replace the name here, encoder. And please read what they are doing. You need to know what those encoding are doing before you apply that. So this to block is just to encode the categorical features to numerical features. Yes. And then next step is that you need to select the features you like. Well, you think they're important. And we won't dive into feature selection today because there's too many things we can talk. So this part will be presented tomorrow by Yenny. But to run the whole notebook, you will still need to run it because in this code, I select the most important, the first 29 or 30 important features. Oh, here, 29 important feature. I didn't use 180s. It takes too much time to run the whole model. So I picked the most important 29. So what this block doing is I use extra tree regressor to select the let's say the most informative features and then pick the first 29. It doesn't mean they're the best 29 basically. They're just based on the algorithm results. You can use different way to select them. And then we go to the model training. Because now you have handled the missing values and now also encode the category features and then select the features you think are important. You're ready to run the model. And that's actually the key parts. You need to select a model that you think they behave good. Well, normally random forest will be always my favorite somehow because I got the best results in my master thesis using random forest classifier. So I have some personal preference there. So I choose the random forest. And as you can see, this all classifiers actually imported in this code. Yeah. And then if you want to learn what this random forest classifier is doing, just search in the Google or in the scikit-learn. And you will see the explanation about this classifier. And for beginners, I think you don't need to understand all the parameters here, but do read them. Do realize that although you don't use them or you don't indicate them in your model, but please realize that they are using the value by default. So if you want to improve your model, you actually are improving those parameters. So you can read what they're doing, what they mean here. Many. Oh, sorry, yeah. And then, as I mentioned that before you submit the results, like now we're gonna train the result, train the model, right? You have many ways to train it. But here, like today in this notebook, we use the cross-validation, which means that you divided your data set into, for instance, 10 sets. And then you train on the 1 to 9 set and test on the 10th set. It's like you have, yeah, I can't think about other example actually. Yeah, that's how cross-validation does. So you do training on the first 9, test on the last one, and then training the second to the 10th, and then test from the first one. So it's basically doing training the first, test the last one, and then move around, recruit. Yeah. So if you run this block, it's gonna take a bit time. Oh, let me just change the setting, maybe it's quick. So here I use the default. The max step means that they will go really deep to train a model. But if I wanted to like quickly done, you can change the setting here to be quick. So you see cross-validation. You will get 10 results about the model, and then well, I think it's okay. I'm happy with this, and then you use the model to predict the test data set. Still running. Okay, this is done. So if I this one and then yeah, I run the last block, and then you see a output file generated, and then you can download it and submit here. Uploading, submitted, and make a submission. And then you will see the score, like now, like me. And then your team, if you merge to a team, and then every time when a team member also submit the results, you can view them here. So every time when you submit, it will show as a result, team results instead of individual results. So any questions?